May I have a roll call, please?
Student trustee Tian,
Here.
student trustee Chin,
Here.
student trustee Yen,
Here.
Presta,
Here.
trustee Garrigus,
Here.
trustee Lee,
Here.
vice president Potter,
Here.
president Walker.
Here. There's nothing to report out of closed session. We have an agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, there are two amendments that were already made. So on item 15A1, the agenda was amended to include the letter from the County Superintendent of Schools, Nancy McGee, confirming the effective date of Trustee Cho's resignation as January 12th. So we attached that letter to the board agenda. And then on item 16B3, the 24-25 audit report has been corrected and uploaded to the online agenda. On page 80, the names of our trustees were updated as they were incorrect. And on page 46, the end date of the district lease with Daly City was updated.
Thank you. In light of the changes, I will entertain a motion to approve the amended agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. There are minutes from our December 16th meeting and our school site meeting from January 8th. Shall we approve them?
Move to approve the minutes for December 16th. I think and January 8th. Second.
Thank you. All in favor of approving the minutes from December 16th?
Aye.
Aye. All those in favor of approving the minutes from January 8th?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain. I was not present.
Thank you. Communications. Let's start with our board report. Can we go with student trustees first? Mr. Presta?
Sorry. Okay. To report from Oceana. So some stuff that's happened in the past is we had wintergrams handed out before we went on break. And we did a new thing this year. We did caroling and so people could buy like songs for people. So like the ASB kids would go and a couple like 5 to 10 of us would go and carol to people in their advisories. And so we did teachers and also students there, and it was pretty fun. The seniors had a Panda Express fundraiser at the Panda Express in Lindemar, and we had gift wrapping at Stonestown on like the first weekend of break, which was super successful. And we also had Harvest Fair before we went on break. Coming up, we have a clothing drive going on. There's also a special election for freshman treasurer, and there's health fair this Friday during lunch.
Thank you from Oceana. I think no one's here from Thornton. I don't know which school each of you is from. Great. Okay.
Oh, should I go?
Thank you. Okay. First, we have Tian.
Okay, so going back a little back to before winter break started, we had the Bring Change to Mind biannual de-stress event where a lot of clubs came together and basically hosted activities for students to enjoy to de-stress before finals. Coming back from break, FBLA, which is Future Business Leaders of America, we spent the weekend volunteering for the Hot Chocolate Run and Habitat Restoration. Additionally, Bay Section FBLA is also coming up on February 7th. We also had the leadership fair in the quad during our first week back from school, which is to introduce students to leadership and link crew. TEDx Westmore is coming up on January 29th. Math Club AMC results also came out recently, and course selection is starting with AP informational meetings going on for 2 weeks starting this week. There will be an inaugural debate competition at Westmore on February 28th, and Westmore Model UN will be hosting the Lorax committee soon.
Thank you. Student trustee Chin.
For Jefferson, before break, we had gift wrapping fundraisers at Ceremony. And then we had a holiday craft fair, which is this new thing that ASB decided to do, where clubs can sell crafts as a fundraiser during lunch. And then coming back from break, we have new schedules. Everyone has new classes. And then we had Key Club at Hot Chocolate Run. And then right now we are having our Club Rush Week. Yesterday was cultural clubs. Today was hobby clubs. And then we have this La Russell music video about this Bay Area rapper who's filming music videos at school, and Jefferson students are featured. And then we have a winter rally coming up, robotics competition in Half Moon Bay. And we have our winter ball, which is Once Upon a Night theme. And then Mission Fusion Luna dates have been announced, and tickets will be on sale soon.
Thank you. Did you say they're making a music video with Jefferson students?
Yeah, student trustee Edward Miles wanted to mention it. I'm pretty sure he's in the music video.
You say that was La Russell?
Mhm.
Who is it?
I know that Trustee Gallegos is a Jefferson alum and a big fan of Russell, and a fantastic dancer. So what you call it?
Well, fun fact, a Jefferson alum who I went to school with is the mom of Sage the Gemini.
Nice. Terra Nova, student trustee event.
So before winter break, our leadership sold candy grams, and basically it's just like the winter version of candy grams for Valentine's, where you can buy anyone you know a little treat. And then on finals week, I want to point out that we had a lot of counseling services available in the library. Anyone could sign up to have a session with counselors. And then after finals, we have the Women's 10 Club Step Up Flip Flop Drive is currently going to donate to charity. Our class of 2029 leadership had an e-waste drive, which was very successful this past weekend. Mock trial competitions are starting up next week. And our winter sports are continuing, while spring sports conditioning is starting now. And our baseball field is finally almost done. And today we're having a Raising Cane's fundraiser. And then in the future, we're having another winter rally, and winter formal was announced to be on February 7th.
Thank you. Trustee Gallegos?
Yep, nothing too exciting over here. We did a site meeting at Westmore last week. So we got to stop by and chat with the site admins there and get to learn a little bit about what they're doing there with their PLC trainings, and got to meet a really cool kid there. He's a freshman. His name was Francis.
Francis.
Yeah, Francis. Yeah.
Knew that one.
And he was full of energy and full of information, actually. So he's taken his high school journey very seriously, and it was really cool to see that and have him kind of take part of that little meeting that we had there. So that was cool. And then yesterday I got to hang out with the student advisory crew and did a little community building with them, and watched Miss Presta kind of get them organized with what they're going to be doing with their upcoming board presentations. So other than that, it's pretty quiet on the home front.
All right. Yes, I was also at the Westmore site meeting. I thought that was a very good meeting with the team over there. And Francis was just full of energy and ambition and excitement, and pretty impressive when you're talking about a kid who's just starting his second semester as a freshman. On Saturday, I was invited by the Bay Area Community Health Advisory Council to speak on a panel with their Black Youth Advisory Board. And it was pretty powerful because the invitation came from a former board member of Sequoia Union High School District who is on staff with BACHAC, and invited me to speak on a panel with San Mateo Supervisor Lisa Gautier and John Pimentel, who's a trustee from the San Mateo Community College District. as well as a former student trustee from Sequoia, and also a former Black Youth Advisory Board member. There are about 8 or 9 students who are part of that panel, and this was an opportunity for us, especially the local electeds, to be able to speak about leadership to these students, and very specifically how to encourage them to use their voice for change. And it was pretty powerful. They asked us questions like, what does student or youth voice mean to me personally? How do we use student or youth voice in our roles to make decisions that impact them? So that was powerful to be able to answer those questions. And I was able, at least for us, to speak to the student trustees and the student advisory that we have, and how the work that you do as students really does make a difference in the way we approach the LCAP, for example, and as well as the feedback you provide from the dais when there are specific presentations. The other thing is that 2 of our own students are on the Black Youth Advisory Board. We have Kai, who's a freshman at Terra Nova, who's who's there, and a young woman, Amma, from an 11th grader at Westmore. So it was very cool to be able to encourage them. And I saw, when I was talking about student advisory, Kai was fiercely writing notes mentioning apply to be on student advisory. So hopeful that he will take us up on that offer. And that is all I've got.
Vice President Tejada.
I don't have much to report except it's good to be starting the new year, and I'm looking forward to being out at the schools. Despite all the, you just can't help but feeling, I feel crushed almost every day. But when I see the students here, it uplifts me. So I know I have, what can I do is what I ask myself. What can I do? And I had a talk with my daughter, and she and her friends are planning to go spring break in Mexico in March. And she said, Mom, I'm going to try to look as white as possible. What is that? You know, I'm on edge. But what can I do? And I'm going to focus on my work here and the work that Andy and I do on the REACH Coalition. And we'll get through this. But I'm hopeful.
Thank you. I don't have a lot to add in the way of I was here or I was there. I will admit that in a world where in a world where I frequently feel like I'm focusing on when's this going to be done, and when's this person going to be here, and when's this person going to be there, and how does this work, and how does that work? It's nice to be around situations, to be around students who are asking questions like, how can I make this better? And I hope that I can spend more time helping those types of people answer those questions. And maybe that'll be a little bit of a theme for the 2026 Charette Walker Drunk with Power Tour. I'd like to add that things are not as they seem. I think it's time for our superintendent report from Ms. Presta.
Thank you. So I don't have a lot to add. Site board meeting was really nice. It was so nice to hear so much from a student. That was wonderful. So I want to encourage students to attend when we have site board meetings. I guess I just want to mention a couple of things. We got back from winter break a little over a week ago. So I've tried to be at schools a lot and be on sites and be in classrooms. And so that's been really nice. I spent a lot of time at Jefferson in particular on Monday in their math classrooms. It was just yesterday, and I spent some time at Thornton as well. And I was at Oceana and Terra Nova last week. So trying to see students and be where the action is. And I'm just super proud of our student advisory. We had We canceled a couple of meetings in December because of finals and just conflicts. A lot of kids weren't able to come. And so I felt like we'd had a sort of a gap. And then we got back there last night, and we're really changing how our student trustees we're sort of changing the work to less of making a report to the school board at the end of the year about stuff they think we should fix, and more toward how do we want it fixed, and what impact can we as young people, as students, make? And so it's a real shift. And so the report at the end of the year will be very different, likely, than it's been in the past. And I was just very proud of our students last night. I looked at trustees Walker and Gallegos at one point and was like, look at them all working. Like, they were just really focused. And so I'm just really proud of them. And I think that's it for me.
Thank you. Are there any board subcommittees that need to report? Let's have our AFT Local 1481 report. Ms. Casey.
Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. I don't have much to report, although I've been super busy with lots of committees and lots of meetings, both within our district and outside of our district with CFT, which is California Federation, which is our overarching, just for those of you who don't understand the structure. We're the local level, then there's the California level, and then there's the national level. But been to a lot of committee meetings, and I just want to remind everyone that we have a website, and probably one of the most important places anyone can go to is our announcements page. And if you're interested in being involved in one of our committees, or if you're interested in negotiations, or if you're interested in actions that you can take outside of campus for some of the things that we have to deal with in our world right now, there's sometimes good places to look there. Not always updated as much as I'd like to, but that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a consent agenda. If there's no discussion,
Move to approve consent.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Is there any public comment tonight, Mr. Clerk?
No, we do not have any public comment this evening.
Thank you. Discussion items 15A1 regarding board provisional appointment. Ms. Presta?
Yep, thank you. So at the December 16th board meeting, Trustee Cho provided verbal notification during board communications of his intent to resign due to moving outside of the district boundary. During that meeting, the board directed me to begin the provisional appointment process. On January 12th, Trustee Cho, which was yesterday, Trustee Cho formally notified the county superintendent of schools of his resignation from the JUHSD Board of Trustees. The board has 60 days from January 12th to make a provisional appointment. I've discussed the timeline and process with our attorney as well as with our board president and vice president. And so tonight I recommend that we notify the public of the vacancy and advertise the position by this Friday, January 16th. I will share this information in my superintendent update and also place it on the district website. I recommend that we require applications to be submitted by Friday, February 13th, as that gives prospective candidates a month to submit their application. As we receive the applications, I will verify that applicants meet the required qualifications, such as being 18 years old, a resident of the school district, a registered voter, not a district employee, that type of thing. And I will invite eligible candidates to interview. I suggest that we offer to any interested candidate the opportunity to meet with a board member or members and or me to learn about this commitment. I suggest that we discuss who these board members will be tonight. Perhaps two of you can volunteer. And then finally, I recommend that the interviews be conducted in open session during the March 7th, 2026 board meeting. That places us just within those 60 days, with the board appointing the selected applicant that same evening. Please let me know if this process is acceptable, and I'm just sort of opening it up for discussion to have you provide direction for me. That sounds good.
I think the process sounds great. Sorry.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, the process sounds great. I volunteer if anyone wants to talk to a board member, I will make myself available. It's a great idea.
Thank you.
I will happily make myself available as well in the period prior to February 13th. Or is it, or are we doing after February 13th or just anytime during?
Oh, no, anytime. As soon as before February 3rd, whenever they apply.
Whenever they apply. So
I
really
figure
prior to the March 7th.
prior to March 7th.
Got it.
I figure as hopefully we have some applicants when we are kind of putting feelers out there. Hopefully there are applicants, but anybody who puts an application in, first I'll verify that, they meet the qualifications, and then I'll let them know if they do. And then I'll offer that. And, I suggest that's the best way to get to know about. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. I think the time.
And you can meet with them one at a time, or I think you can meet as long as it's just two of you. It's fine. It's just not breaking any rules.
Well, I'll be an alternate in case, you get more, multiple applicants and you guys don't have time or something like that. I don't mind.
Yeah, I think it would be good if they wanted to meet with more than one applicant. It would be good to have, like, we're the veterans,
Yeah.
and you and President Walker in your first term, completing your first term, and you have a really fresh outlook on it.
A different
And we have
perspective.
Yeah, I don't mind talking.
Yeah. And they can meet, they can meet with three of you. It's nothing saying that they can't. They just can't meet with three of you together.
together.
Yeah.
Right.
Sounds good.
Any other discussion? Would we like to take some action?
No action is needed. It's just if the direction sounds good, you're providing me with direction, and I will move forward.
Just another clarifying question with regards to the application. Can we see what the application looks like?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
What I will do is share it with you in the next day or so.
Okay.
And what I'll do is just send it to you and ask if you have any questions or concerns, and hopefully it'll be okay. And if not, I'll make some changes.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Item
Thank you.
15B1 is a school spotlight for Terra Nova High School. I'll turn it over to Deputy Superintendent of Educational Services, Kareen Baca.
Good evening, President Walker. This evening, I would like to welcome Principal Carey, who will share the great things happening at Terra Nova. Miss Carey.
Thank you. I have to adjust the microphone. Short. It's my first time presenting in the new board room. So thank you for having me tonight. I always appreciate having the opportunity to highlight Terra Nova to the board and to the district. And Marlene Gutierrez came to show her support and arrived at the right time. So thank you for coming. The presentation tonight is an overall summary highlighting the work we've done and are doing to advance on our school-wide goals. So last November, we successfully completed our WASC report, our self-study, and our visit. So tonight gives me the opportunity to share our updated mission and vision statements and our school goals. I also want to talk about our instructional focus for the year, talk a little bit about the work we're doing to address school climate, and then I'll end by talking about our distraction-free learning initiative, which you may have heard a little about. So I'll go ahead and start with our updated mission and vision statements. We developed these with input from the staff, our students, and families. With the staff, we spent several collaboration meetings. We talked about our shared values and beliefs, and then from there, we crafted these 2 statements, which I believe really represent Terra Nova holistically as a school with high expectations and rigor, a school who collaborates, has inclusive practices, and believes in the potential of every student. So it's pretty much our tagline at Terra Nova. We're the school that has something for everybody, and where every student has the opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive. And I think it really comes through on these 2 statements, which we use pretty much to anchor all that we do at TN. And then these are our new school-wide goals. These are the areas that our WASC report, the visit, and all of our internal conversations showed we needed to focus as a staff and as a school, which is specifically in the areas of teaching and instruction, school climate, student supports, and how we use data as a school. But before I talk about those goals and what they look like this school year, I wanted to give a snapshot of who we serve at Terra Nova High School. So this is a visual breakdown of our student population, the racial and ethnic breakdown, the population in our specialized programs, the total enrollment off to the right. All of that context is important because it's going to ground some of the work you'll see in the next few slides. All right, so now you know who's who at TN, but I'll go ahead and talk about our instructional focus this year, which is on strengthening literacy across content areas. The specific focus goes back to that first school-wide goal, and it grew directly from teacher feedback and our achievement data. We addressed this need because we collectively as a staff wanted to strengthen discipline-specific writing and analysis practices. We saw a need to make those practices consistent, intentional, and visible across all the classrooms. And we saw an opportunity to build on the momentum with with our distraction-free learning initiative. And we saw that there was space to create more rigor and deeper engagement. So how we're doing the work this year, teachers got straight to work. A lot of conversations about literacy, what it looked like in the different classrooms, how the skills come to life. And ultimately, they agreed on a shared skill that we could focus on across departments, which was claim evidence and reasoning, as we kind of call CER. They wrote shared learning objectives for our 9th and 10th graders and came up with a common rubric. They're targeting this skill within the departments, and departments are now in the process of analyzing student work in their department and course select teams. In the weeks ahead, we're going to come back together, work across departments, identifying patterns and sharing strategies. So it's all still very fluid, but I can already see that the value with a lot of this work is that it's going to start addressing alignment and reinforcing skill development. So students are going to be experiencing consistent expectations across classes and different grade levels, right? So what a strong paragraph looks like in English, that expectation is going to be the same expectation in, right, our science, our math, our art classes. We really wanted to come together feeling as though we can go a lot farther when we're all working together. So this was one way that we could leverage our power. Another benefit of focusing on a strategy like CER, I feel, is that it reflects modern literacy with the rise of AI, right, all around us, really being able to prioritize skills that have students questioning information, evaluating sources. It's more important than ever, really, to develop those critical thinking skills. All right. And then next, I'll talk a little bit about how we are focusing on our diverse learners. As you saw in the earlier slide, we do have a large population of students with IEPs at Terra Nova. And when you include students with 504 plans ends up being about a quarter of our student body that requires some level of accommodations or specialized support. And then when you look at some other data, right, this is our CASP data over the past 4 years, you start to see the needs of those students really coming to light. So those are our ELA and math scores, students with disabilities compared to the overall student population. And then on this slide are college and career readiness indicator and the A through G completion rates. And again, the data showing that this is an area of significant need for us. Came up in our WASC study on many different levels. So when we at Terra Nova, when we're coming together and we're talking about instruction, what our focus should be, teaching practices, even how we think about our continued work with UDL, it's with this group of students in mind, right? Wanting to ensure equitable access for this group of students. So they are a primary focus for us. So this year, with the support of the district, we've been able to increase the number of co-taught sections that we've offered at Terra Nova. We're offering them now in both English and in math. So you'll see down below the slide with math, we're offering it in Math Course 1 and Course 2. In English, we've extended it over to English 10. And so co-teaching, we have 2 teachers in one class. They're sharing instruction, they're blending their styles. It's allowing our students with disabilities to be enrolled in a standards-aligned college prep class. They're sitting next to their peers, they're learning together. And our co-teachers, many of whom are veteran teachers, with the model. They're citing, I asked them specifically to share with me kind of their feedback. This was at the end of the semester. They cited their ability to provide more targeted help to students. The work is shared, the duties are shared, both the prep and inside the classroom. So they're able to provide that assistance timelier, more direct with the students. Class time is smoother. Within the classroom, it's smoother. There's less stigma for students inside the class to receive help. Even when you're in a small class, students can sometimes be hesitant. They've noticed some of those walls breaking down in a co-teaching classroom. And I think the most exciting part of it is that it's allowing for more experimentation with different types of assessments and activities because that work is shared, right? So teachers have a little bit more time to try something new, maybe try 2 different varieties on assignments, which is basically the UDL principles, right? So you can see some of that experimentation taking place. And then that up there on the slide is a quote from one of the teachers. The part that I really like and always catches my eye is that last part, which addresses how even if you're not a student with an IEP, right, not somebody with an accommodation or so forth, we can all use a little help sometimes. So having that extra assistance, it doesn't just help our diverse learners, it benefits everyone. Having the teachers have a little bit more freedom to experiment, it starts to spread to the non-co-teaching classes too, right? They're in their collaboration meetings, they're sharing their successes, they're sharing those tailored lessons that they worked on. It just starts to kind of raise the bar for everybody. So it's exciting to see it expand in English. Another way we're focusing on our diverse learners is through what I call our RTI team, Response to Intervention. It's a team made up of me and 2 counselors, right? Maya and Ann. We have a school counselor intern. He joined it today. But twice a month, we meet and we review the data for our 9th and 10th graders. We examine our progress report grades. We review attendance. It's a master spreadsheet, progress report grades, attendance, any type of behavior indicators. We include flex time data on it. We have our teacher support team referrals. And our goal in looking at all of this is to identify patterns. We're looking to triage students' needs and start connecting to them to all the different supports. You'll see the pyramid up there. We spent a good deal of time as a staff, I would say probably about 3 years ago, creating that pyramid. And now the RTI team is using that pyramid to start connecting the students, right? Like who's getting what support, who needs the support. And it's our second year with this format. So we don't have a lot of years of comparison, and every year is different. And even more so when you kind of take into account the fact that we have a cell phone free policy this year. But the process overall we found has been extremely effective. Something about the way it's laid out in front of us, we're able to identify trends. We're just having very casual conversations, asking each other questions, not really professing to know all of the answers, and looking to see how and where we can start connecting students. Today in our meeting, we began discussing the fact that, we need more, something that came up in our WASC process last year, but we were able to restart the conversation. This meeting was, how can we strengthen collaboration between case managers and general education teachers, right? So that it's more preventative and less reactive, where we're just trying to get, work turned in so we can, assess something. But how can we be more preventative? And just very casual conversation about what that could and would look like. So good results so far. We found it to be very beneficial. So we're sticking with it. And then I'll talk about our school climate. This is our third, I believe it's goal number 3. I posted it up there on the slide. Been a principal for a long time, very long time. So one thing I know is that work with school climate, it's never finished, right? There's not one solution. You always want to be a school where students are excited to be on campus, they're feeling connected, they're participating, but it doesn't happen by chance, and it doesn't happen overnight. It requires intentional and yearly effort. We're also at the same time a very vibrant school. We're a small school. We have a big heart. We have lots to offer our students, and that does come through. This is a snapshot of our WASC student survey data, and you'll see that that is what the students reported, right? That they felt and feel connected to staff, right? That they have a high level of school connectedness. At the same time, though, our California Healthy Kids survey data shows that there's room for improvement, right? So both can be true. We can have high levels of school connectedness and then still know that there's pockets where that is not shared as equally. With the Healthy Kids survey data, it is our Hispanic and Latino students that do not share as high of are reporting lower levels of connection and belonging. And that is an area that we're looking to strengthen and address. And the best way we're doing that this year is through our e-teams. So this year we were able to get our student e-team off the ground. We launched it. We have 12 students, maybe 14 students across all different grade levels. And then our staff e-team has been working continuously for the past few school years, and that work continues. This school year, they both, independent of each other, identified the same equity challenge, which is about addressing hate speech. For the students, that came out very clearly in our first student e-team meeting. And then for staff, the need surfaced. We did student listening sessions at the end of last school year. So that's where the need, that's when we started to hear from the students. Both the student e-team and the staff e-team, they're working within the National Equity Project's framework of safe to fail experiments. The work is still early on. Student e-team is exploring the development of a zine and an assembly, while the staff E-team is focusing on microaggressions with the staff. And then our link crew is the other key way that we're looking to support and continue building connections on campus. We've had link crew at Terra Nova, I think, for almost 10 years now. This year, ASB and link crew, they were able to launch a freshman field day. So I would say for about the last 5 or so years, the students have wanted to do a field day. And I've always said to them, come back with a plan and then we'll talk about it. Come back with a plan and then we'll talk about it. This year they came back with a plan and it was perfect for the freshmen. We had our 9th graders cycling through different field events. They were with their link club groups. They had their link leaders. There were team building activities sprinkled throughout, and it was so successful that now it's going to be a yearly event, which was one of the goals that Link Crew had at the beginning of the year, which was to create a calendar of events. So every year they're able to hit the ground running and they're not feeling like they have to re-identify things that they want to do across campus. They also want to start looking to establish mentoring roles within Link Crew to support students academically, to be able to, teach the students specifically how to study, the best study habits, how to use flex time, prepare for finals, maybe be a mentor that we can pull in when we're looking at the RTI data, right? The student might benefit, from hearing from another student, some work habits and organization skills. And I would really love to be able to get to a point where we can offer a dedicated Link Crew class. We worked with Ms. Baca and with Westmore to draft the course, but unfortunately we couldn't run it this year. We had too few signups. Hopefully we get to the point where it'll take root, but not this year, maybe hopefully next year. And then finally, just a little something called our Distraction-Free Learning Initiative. There is so much to talk about this program. I'm going to just be very brief. I really want to walk you through how we arrived at the decision as a school, a little bit about how we implemented it, and then share some of the data that we've been able to capture after one full semester. So our distraction-free learning, I think if you were at the school site board meeting at Terra Nova, the staff was talking about it. But it has Terra Nova prohibiting cell phones and other personal devices during the school day. The flyer right there lists what a personal device is. And we did not come to this decision overnight. I would say even before COVID, we were having conversations about cell phone use on campus and in classrooms. When we returned from distance learning, obviously everything was different, right? The use was different, the impact was different, and all of those conversations started to take on a different level of urgency and even a different feeling to it. We started to hear more and more from parents and families in IEP meetings, the PTO, parent conferences, where they were asking us to do more and to take a harder line with cell phone use. It even came up in our WASC family survey as an area of concern that needed to be addressed. And up until we got to that point, right, we had tried other interventions. We researched different cell phone policies across the state. We revised our own cell phone policy a few times. We purchased cell phone lockers. We had an awareness campaign. We even had a student speaker come to campus and talk to the staff and to the students and held a digital detox challenge. Nothing really stuck, and none of those interventions really were successful. So when Newsom finally passed the cell phone bill, we found it to be an opportunity to revisit the issue. We did our surveys. We surveyed staff, families, and our students, and then engaged in pretty much a semester-long series of conversations as a staff. They were very honest, open, and constructive. We discussed challenges. the impact of phones, even the benefits of phones, right? Like in what ways were phones being a tool in the classroom, and could that be replaced with another piece of technology? One of the options that kept coming up was Yonder, right? The Yonder program. When we were talking about it as a staff, knowing and learning about it as I did, I knew that for that program, a program like that to be successful, that it had to have the support of the staff, right? It couldn't just be a Megan decision. We really wanted to be something that the staff came to an agreement on, right? So we fleshed out the details. And again, all of this is happening over we're talking months of conversations as a staff. And ultimately, we got to the point where we did a take a stand activity after going through the few different options of what cell phone policies could look like on campus, debating the pros and cons. We did a take a stand exercise. We wanted there to be a visual representation of where staff felt. And it was in the cafeteria. Every staff member was there. It was all of the I don't believe anybody was absent. Every teacher, every classified, paraprofessional, the office staff, our campus supervisors, counselors, wellness, library tech, right, college and career aid, everybody was in the cafeteria. Again, we debated everything. We talked about the different options. And then we ultimately took a stand. Even admin, we had to take a stand. And it was ultimately unanimous, where we were all in the same corner, voting for Yonder, believing that it was the best program that we could implement that would address student learning, right? That would benefit student learning and address cell phone use. So then it became about implementation. It was very thoughtful and phased. We held parent meetings in May and August. And then when school restarted, we met with students by grade level and then made sure all students heard what the program was about. We, like I said, held another parent meeting. Students received a Yonder pouch and a district Chromebook, because one piece of data that we found out was, again, students were using cell phones in the classroom as a piece of technology. And we were fortunate enough to be able to, while launching Yonder, also launch the district's one-to-one device program. We were piloting it. So every student received a Yonder pouch and a Chromebook, as that's the only piece of technology that's truly permitted. And then the primary concern raised by parents was school safety, which is to be expected. And in response to that, we installed unlocking bases in every classroom and learning space, right? They're to stay locked during the school day. When a student needs to unlock their pouch at the end of the day, they go to the ones throughout campus. And then we purchased multiple portable unlocking bases. So we have additional staff out and around campus. And then it was, day one, which was probably the hardest day. But by the end of the week, there was a noticeable change on campus. In talking with Yonder and some of the other schools, we were told to expect to see changes over the course of several weeks. But it was different by the end of that first week. By Friday, the air felt differently. And today it's a part of the school, right? It's just part of what happens at Terra Nova. We came back from winter break, was wondering, are they going to remember? Are they going to just show up like, oh, I forgot all about it? But no, they followed the process. They brought their Yonder pouches back to school. So what initially was unfamiliar, like I said, it's just part of the school day. I can go on and on and on about it. There's so many different layers to it. What I will say, variable, right? We talked about the co-teaching. Every class is different, but the data that you're seeing right here, it matches those observations that the teachers, right, have been talking about. More focus, higher work completion, longer attention spans. And then these are some quotes from staff and from students about how Yonder has been this past semester. I think the one from the 10th grade student is the one that really got me when they say how they can analyze text better in their head now than what they could have done in August when they were on their cell phones as often. So again, I can keep talking about it, but I'll stop talking and open it up for questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
very
Thank you,
much.
Principal Carey. Any student trustees have questions or comments?
Yes, I would like to ask a couple questions related to the distraction-free learning initiative. Firstly, this one isn't only tied to that, but since we've had this initiative, we've seen that there's been stricter consequences, especially for being caught with this technology out, as students get 1 detention the first time they're caught, and then 3, and it goes further on from there. So I was wondering if we're planning on implementing stricter consequences for other issues like behavioral issues.
We have not had that conversation yet as a admin team. If we were going to model that Yonder consequence for something else, like other common problems on campus, we haven't had that conversation.
Right. Yeah,
But
of
it's
course.
something to consider. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering because of the success we found from this program.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It's very clear, right? It's black and white, which is a huge value to the program. There's no questioning, right? When you're in violation of it. I think that's a worthwhile conversation for us to have. How can we model that for some of the other behaviors? Yeah.
And then the other question I have is, has the school been thinking about ways to prevent technological issues now that Chromebooks are the only type of device we can have in school? Because the systems that Chromebooks have are not very advanced compared to other laptops. And so students have been facing a lot of technological issues. And when that's the only thing they can rely on in class instead of before when they could switch to their phones as an alternative, is there a way we could fix that?
Yeah, I think there's a way to address it. The best way to start is for me to have a really good idea of what those technology issues are. When I hear, the first 2 people I connect with are Jake Meyer and Kareem Baca. If there's something related to Wi-Fi, if there's an issue with the Chromebook and memory, I then go try to find out information. Is it an isolated issue? Is it something bigger? It did look like tonight that maybe new Chromebooks were being purchased for Terra Nova, which I think is going to address some of the concerns that some of the Chromebooks that students have are lagging and slow, and that there were some Wi-Fi compatibility issues. In terms of other technology concerns and limitations, I would say let's talk, because I don't think I know exactly what those would be.
Yeah, I've totally seen the ones that you were talking about. And I think that all I would like to see is faster or more transparent information given to students about these issues, because it's not really enough to know right when these are being fixed, but maybe we could know when the school is having these discussions even, so students know that they're being heard on these issues.
Yeah. The best way I have heard about computer issues have been when a student has either emailed me or done a stop it report. So why don't I look at getting something out to the students, even maybe if it's a Google form, about what some of the common issues have been with the one-to-one and the Chromebooks, just to get a snapshot, and then we can go from there. I'm not the most tech savvy person, so, but no, I hear you, what you're saying.
All right, that's all. Thank you.
No problem.
Mr. Presta?
Hello. Just from speaking with people that I know who go to Terra Nova, I think that this is actually like at the beginning, I think there's a sentiment of like, oh gosh, really? Like, oh no. But after like this last semester speaking to them, I think there's been like actually a really great improvement in like the social culture at Terra Nova. So I want you to know that from the student perspective, I think there's a good like, not just from like the data that you guys have seen, but like a good really like social impact from the student perspective at Terra Nova.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. My kids told me, don't do it, Mom. They're not going to like you. I said, I need to. It's the right decision.
Any other students? Trustee Gallegos?
Yeah, I have a couple questions,
Yeah.
and you could be brief in your answers. I'm not looking for a whole lot of detail. I was just curious about. I wonder if you could elaborate a little bit on the CER
Yeah.
program or whatever that you're using, just kind of where it came from a little bit, and how you're implementing it more, a little bit more on that.
Yeah. So outside of the achievement data, right, where we saw, we see lower CASP ELA scores than we would like. The need to focus on literacy came from teachers, right? Informal feedback, conversations in the hallway, conversations in collaboration meeting, about how literacy, writing, making sense of information needed to be more in depth outside of just English classes, right? I think the cell phones kind of address some of this too. And the teachers were feeling as though they had to pull teeth to get students to provide evidence and really demonstrate their thoughts, their answers, articulate their answers, and articulate and defend the points that they were making. And so there were some struggles there. So some of those early conversations were, well, how can we make this easier for certain teachers, right? What are your struggles? Why is it working in this classroom? Why is it more challenging in this classroom? And so that's where the shared focus on literacy came. When like I said, we noticed the improvement with distraction-free learning right away. And so we just kind of took off with it. What's a shared skill? How can you do more, right? Like, they're paying attention. They're doing their work. Maybe they were writing bullet points last school year, but this year they're able to put a paragraph together faster than they were last year. So just wanting to leverage that and really for students to see the connection that it's not just in English classes, right? That you're having to write and produce evidence of your thoughts and evaluate that info.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, well, first of all, thank you for the presentation. It's always nice to kind of get that feedback from, how the schools are doing and the programs they're trying to implement and how those are working out for you guys, and just to give us a chance to ask these questions and kind of see if there's ways that we could help. The other question, I had a couple. For the COTOC classes, I know it sounds like you guys just kind of started ramping those up a little bit more, or getting a little bit more access to them. I was curious if you're able to track like the results of those, those COTOC classes kind of in real time, just to see how well those are working out for you guys as far as results.
Last year we noticed it significantly, that the students with disabilities, if they were in a COTOC class, that they had a higher chance of passing the class than they had if they weren't in a COTOC class. Again, it's like a whole new set of data this year, right? It's kind of hard to go back and compare in previous years. So it's because the failing rates, right, in English 9, right, are down across the board. I haven't yet broken that 10th grade class data down to see if there's, a comparison with a co-taught English and a non-co-taught English. I haven't done that yet.
Thank you. Um, I had a few other little ones, but I think I'll let some of my colleagues get to them. The last one I want to ask you real quick is for your E-teams, your student E-teams and your staff E-teams. Do you guys meet together, or you do it separately, or how is there times where you guys all get together and
We have not
discuss?
brought the two groups together yet. So the student E-team is meeting separately. Myself and another staff E-team member, campus supervisor Juan Venegas, we facilitate the student E-team with support from Dan Arzaga. And so that's completely separate from the staff E-team.
Yeah.
So wanting to really kind of let both groups move forward like organically on their own process. There's going to be room and opportunity for overlap, but they just
Not yet.
especially not yet.
Yeah, I think just from our experience, I guess, as you can see, having students up here with us and what we've learned from them over the years of just having them sit in with us,
Yeah.
I think it could be, pretty helpful especially for something like that you guys are working on for those E-teams. So.
I agree. The staff E-team really wants to sit down with the students.
Yep.
I want the students to have a little bit more autonomy and to let their work take shape a little bit more before us adults get in the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great presentation. And just to pick up on that as a follow-up on the E-team, since Trustee Ados opened the door, with regards to the student E-teams, what are they specifically working on?
So they came up with 3 possible projects or experiments. One was centered around a zine, right? Little pamphlet that they could, student created, share with other students. They came up with the desire to have some sort of an assembly or presentation, and then they wanted to talk about like policies, consequences, right? The one that we've been spending the most time, or they've been spending the most time on, is the assembly, right? So it was assembly. It's now sounding a little bit more like presentations, classroom presentations. And it's all really coming, together. We started meeting in, I want to say November, the student E-team. We've had maybe 5 meetings, and they're moving quickly. They're moving very, very quickly. They really know what they want to do. I can see them getting into classrooms before the end of the semester and doing some sort of presentation and activities with certain classes.
That would be great. I mean, I think it'd be great for us to get an invite or a follow-up or something about those presentations.
Absolutely.
What is the makeup of the student E-team? Does it mirror the student population demographics? Okay.
It does. All grade levels, different racial and ethnicities, and other different student populations. So we had also targeted some invitations to leaders of our affinity clubs around campus. So our GSA, our BSU, we kind of tapped some shoulders of some students.
So there's intersectionality there.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
great.
That's the right word. Yeah, we really wanted to make sure some students, hey, we really want you to be a part of this.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
great. Fantastic. With regards to data, I'm glad to see that you did, show the all student data against the student with disabilities, but it would be nice to also see the breakout with the Hispanic students in particular, since it is 28% of the student population. And especially given what you shared about their connectiveness or not connectiveness. But I do suspect that with the work that you're doing on the culture piece, that we'll start to hopefully see some of those positive results as well. And with regards to the staff E-team, what are you doing specifically? How many people are on your team, and what sort of projects are you doing, or the internal work that you need to do?
Yeah. I'm like looking at their faces in my head, trying to count. I'm going to say maybe 8 of us, staff E-team. A lot more internal work so far this semester. As adults, I've spent a lot of time talking about it with Superintendent Presta. As adults, we feel the shared burden of wanting and needing to solve it. We feel of the problem, right? The hurt that the students feel. We also, put the burden of kind of solving it for the world outside of Terra Nova, right? And then we just kind of trip ourselves up. And so that's where that National Equity Project, that Safe to Fail experiment framework has been a real lifesaver for us, because we're able to kind of break it down into small, smaller bites. Just recently we met maybe right around Thanksgiving. We decided to focus on microaggressions, and we haven't met since. December was a little rough for the team, so we're meeting again next week.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
and then we'll
great.
pick up the conversation.
Well, that's encouraging to hear, because I know being able to lead in that work requires doing the hard work of looking within. And I know when I started the journey 8 years ago, and having to look at my own biases was not fun.
Yeah,
But it's a process, and we're never going to get there. But the fact that we're all on this journey together, I think, is a good thing. And so I encourage you to just keep going. It's because it's awesome work.
Yeah,
I'm really glad that you guys are doing it.
Thank you.
And lastly, bell to bell, no cell. That's fantastic. And I know you guys are very excited about it. I mean, I know you'd probably still be talking about it right now if you didn't stop yourself. So I'm really grateful to hear the successes. I'm very excited to see what additional data we will start to see. It'll be fun to follow this 9th grade cohort and the 10th grade cohort over these next few years, because I would imagine that we'll probably see some incredible improvements in both scores, as well as probably the A through G completion rates and college and career readiness. So that's good. My last question, given that the dramatic improvement with the number of students who are the decrease in the number of students who fail the class, what's the typical follow-up with the students who fail a class just procedurally?
Yeah, absolutely. So of those, we'll just take the freshmen, right? So of those 12 students, we are looking, has somebody talked with them? Right? Just the most basic of questions, right? How many counselor check-ins have they had? Is it an attendance issue? Do we need to pull parents in for an attendance conference? We're looking at, you failed, let's say, biology. How many times did you go to flex, right, with that teacher? Was it once? Was it none? Was it 12? If it was 12, what were you doing 12 times, right? So we're asking ourselves questions and then determining who needs to be that person to follow up. Is it a counselor? Is it a VP, because we're looking at attendance as part of it? So we want to bring the parent in. Is there some maybe behavioral issues that have come up? Some of them are students with disabilities with IEPs, which led us to those conversations about case managers, right? Like what are the case managers' challenges? What's going on in study skills? Is it right? Conversations that we need to have with the case manager and the gen ed teacher. So that's what the follow-up looks like. No two students are the same. Right. But I would say of those 12 students, just because we did it today, all but 2 of them, right, had been triaged throughout the semester in one way or another. I would say 2 were kind of sudden, like nobody saw them coming.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you. That's helpful. It's also the fact that you only have 12 that's a lot less work for you as a team as well.
Save some paper. Yeah.
Yep. Great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Ms. Carey.
Hi, Rosie.
A really great presentation. I'm glad that you provided a lot of, this was very thoughtful. And I think you've probably seen a lot of presentations to the board and have been before us before, and you know what we like to see. So thank you for providing a lot of that for us. So you answered a lot of the questions I had. For the RTI model, is that similar like PBIS?
kind of.
Yeah, kind of. But this
yeah.
is for students with IEPs.
It's for all students.
students,
Yeah,
great.
you're looking to see if a student in an intervention that you're going to provide to the student, what their response is, right? Has it been successful? When are you giving them that intervention? Is it a school-wide system? Is it a teacher intervention? And so that's the name we came up with. We had a book we were using to model ourselves after, and then we just kind of trusted our instincts. It's me, Ann Carew, and Maya Lazowski. So 3 counselors by training, just kind of coming in together, not expecting to know the answers to any questions that we're asking each other. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I bring in conversations from teachers. They bring in conversations from students, and we just try to, you know, kind of bridge the gaps.
Yeah, but I like that it's a bi-weekly review.
Yeah. Twice a week. Yeah.
And so what is the makeup of the RTI team?
Yep. So me and the 2 counselors.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Just that we wanted
And you
to keep
being
it
a
small.
former counselor
Yeah.
yourself,
And then we have
yeah.
our school counselor, counseling intern join us today. We wanted to keep it small. And just focused. So the academic counselors, only wellness, we bring in if there's we bring them in as an intervention, right? But we're focusing strictly on the data, right? I can bring in, you know, the perspective of the principal, the lens of, oh, no, I know English is talking about this. I've been talking with, you know, the department chair or this teacher, right? What are students saying? This teacher specifically is having challenges with this class, or we've had a lot of out-of-class referrals with this class. So we're able to bring in all different facets of it. As opposed to maybe what the counselors could do on their own in their office and what I could do alone in mine. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, starting with the 9th and 10th graders. I mean, setting them up for success, getting to know them. And then it's the next crew of incoming students. I really like that.
Yeah, they fall off their freshman year. It's so difficult to get them back on track.
Yeah.
So that's why we want our effort to be.
Yeah, and then the link crew works with the freshmen. Okay. And do they mentor them? Or
They do. I mean, it primarily right now focuses on, you know, the overall transition to high school. Rob Kolvig, Sarah Meskin, and Maya Lazowski are the link crew advisors, and they have a desire to start branching into that academic mentoring role. That's where the class would truly be beneficial.
Exactly.
If we can get that in the school day.
Okay, great. Let's see, where am I at? When we were on campus for the on-site school board meeting, when you all talked about the Andre pouches, it was just really incredible. And so I do look forward to seeing, you know, more data later. Because I think it's really making, I mean, there's so much that you're doing there. I'm really glad that you're digging into the equity work. But there's so much that you're doing there that because it seems to me that you understand that everything is tied together. And climate and culture. I mean, everything is tied together. And let's see. Yeah, I don't have any more questions. Great presentation. Thank you for and please thank your staff for us.
Thank you.
Hello, Ms. Carey.
Hello, President Walker.
Thank you. I don't know that I could quite put something like this together. Everyone's asked all the questions I had. We were at Westmore last week, and they were talking about Link Crew. And I said to myself, what did I hear about Link Crew? Don't they have some special? And I said, just now, maybe 10 minutes ago, I said, no, there's supposed to be some program at Terra Nova where students are supporting student activities, maybe
Yeah.
sports specifically. Can you talk about that? I've heard about it, I think, at Sportsmanship Night.
Was it the sideline crew?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Yes. So that's a new club. And I'm probably going to misspeak. I'm going to probably
Well, then just
forget about it.
speak
But
big. Is it awesome?
No, it is. So it's a growing club. Essentially what it is, so it's a sideline club. They have a really long name. I don't have it up right now at the tip of my tongue, but it's a sideline crew. And we are taking students who are interested in sports, right? Athletics. And they are getting trained in all different types of being involved in athletics. They are being trained in how to keep stats. So they'll be the students behind the desk, the table in basketball games. So they're keeping the home book. They're learning how to run the clock. They're going to start interviewing students after games. They take pictures during, so they do photography during games. They're going to learn how to announce. So when we have football games next season, we're going to look to have student announcers, either one quarter or maybe part of the JV game, where they're, first down, Terra Nova, it'll be a student. So we're going to train them on that. And basketball games as well. So just the whole world of, all that the world of sports and athletics encompasses. It's a sideline crew.
That's great.
It's new. Yeah.
Thanks for your presentation.
Yeah.
And thanks to you and your staff.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing you on site. Please join me for JV soccer.
Yes. It was raining the last home game, so I thought of you from the gym.
Thank you. I talk to you all the time.
I do.
So in the interest of time, I'm not going to ask any questions, and I'm just going to say thank you for that great presentation. And I echo the sentiments when I say, please thank your staff, and thank you, Marlene, for being here to support Megan.
No. Thank you to Marlene and the staff.
Yeah. Everybody.
Super
Thank you.
appreciative of their support.
Very nice.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. That was good news. That was good. Item 15C1. We're going to talk about a board policy update. And here to give us all the news is Associate Superintendent of Student Services and Human Resources, Doreen Basuino.
Good evening. This is Board Policy 5141.5, Mental Health. This is the first adoption of this policy for the Jefferson Union High School District. This policy gives guidance in supporting student mental health, focusing on preventative care, outreach, student referrals, and staff training. It also provides specific guidance on a variety of mental health notifications to students and families throughout the school year.
Are you directing us towards some action right now, or
This
is
is a
this
first read.
first? Yes. Thank you. Anyone? Fantastic first read. Thank you. 15D, Human Resources. Number one, it's a board policy update. Let me take a quick look here. Looks like we have 5 board policy updates. Let's start with the first one. Director of Human Resources, Dana Lujan.
Good evening, everyone. All of these policies are also all first reads, so this is just the first pass, and I welcome any questions as I go through each of them. The first policy update is Board Policy 4000, which clarifies that we are focused on academic achievement, personal growth, and the well-being of the district students, as well as the success of district programs. It also highlights the importance of the relationship between the union and the district leadership, so that way we work forward together and collaboratively.
Any questions? Move on. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Okay, the next one is Board Policy 4119.1, along with the 4219.1, 4319.1. This policy was updated to reflect a court decision in which a high school coach, refused to follow a directive to not pray before games. So we are recognizing that employees have the right to exercise their personal choices during their personal time, but during work, they do need to be mindful of district policies. Any questions?
I see none.
Okay. The next one is Board Policy 4119.25, along with the others. It updated to recognize that political activity, voting, civic engagement are all very important, but when employees engage in these activities as individuals, it is important that they clarify that they are acting as an individual as opposed as to acting on behalf of the district.
I think I have a small question.
Mm-hmm.
So when does the employee need to do that?
When they're engaging in political activities, we're supposed to maintain a neutral stance.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, and the next Board Policy 4121. This one is actually the ed code change to allow substitute teachers who work for our district for 30 days or more. They are entitled to 40 hours or 5 days of sick leave. So we updated our collective bargaining agreement to reflect this, but we need to also update the board policy to reflect this. Okay.
No questions.
Okay, and finally, thank you for hanging in there with me. The last board policy update is Board Policy 4127, along with 4227, 4327. This highlights the importance of athletic coaches who are trained. All of our athletic coaches can attest to the fact that we do require them to complete all required training, so a general course in coaches training, concussions, those kinds of things, and they cannot coach until their training certificates are completed.
Is this a bar to them performing duties or a prerequisite to being hired?
It's they can still be hired, but they cannot start until they've completed all California Interscholastic Federation required trainings.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you, Ms. Lujan.
Thank you.
15E1, parcel tax survey results. Deputy Superintendent of Business Services, Tina Van Raphorst.
Thank you, President Walker. Good evening, trustees. In December, the district's financial consultant, Dale Scott and Company, conducted a survey of likely voters to assess attitudes towards the potential renewal of one of the district's parcel taxes. This evening, Dale Scott is here with Joe Crump, and they will present the survey findings. It's recommended that the board discuss the results and provide direction to staff regarding next steps as desired.
Good evening. I am not going to go through every page, just to be sure.
Might as well. Here.
Let's see how it goes. I am going to start with this slide, however. This is a slide that shows the voter turnout in San Mateo County on the left and the district's voter registration on the right by political party. What I find really interesting about this slide, which is voter turnout, it's in all of San Mateo County, not just in the district. Look at the blue is presidential and the dark gray are gubernatorial. Look at November of 24 and November of 18. November of 18 was a gubernatorial election, Newsom's first term, and obviously November 24 was the last presidential election. Turnout was almost exactly the same. in the county, which is very surprising. I mean, compare that to November of 22, which was the gubernatorial race right after we had the recall. There was really no turnout. Turnout in 24, compare that to turnout in November of 20, which was presidential election, and how much off it is. So what my point is, I do think that the turnout is going to be fairly substantial in the gubernatorial race coming up. The survey that we undertook of voters was completed with 409 participants. Most of those were text to web. They get a text. They're encouraged to go to the web and fill out. You have to be a registered voter. The first question that is asked is, do you plan on voting in the next election? If they say no, then they're thanked for their time. The average time was 10, almost 11 minutes, and the margin of error is roughly 5%, meaning when you see the amount that we're going to talk about in terms of this number of voters supported, that's plus or minus 5% talking about. I'm going to go through a couple of these a little quicker than normal. This one, I think, however, on slide 6 is really interesting. This is information about the district. We asked the voters, and I'm going to give just some demographic information, then I'll get into the questions. We asked the voters, what is the main way you receive information about Jefferson Union High School District? Look in the area around 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. You have 22% of these voters, again, we're talking about registered voters, 22% of these voters who say district communications, district social media, public meetings, and district website. That's pretty amazing. I mean, that's pretty amazing. You compare that to the 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, which are the traditional news services, Mercury News, local radio, Pacifica Tribune, local TV, that's only 15%. So in other words, you have more voters getting information from you about you than they're getting from news feeds, which I think is a great change, something I know you've worked hard to do. However, there's also some bad news. We asked the voters, again, we're talking about registered voters, do you now have or have you ever had children or grandchildren who attended or are now attending? Have you now had or have you ever had children or grandchildren who are now attending, who have attended or are now attending a school in Jefferson High School? 60% of the voters say no. 60%. Not a shock, but it's something to remember as we're looking at these questions. The way these surveys work, I'm going to cut to the questions, is we start out, once we get the voter on the line or once they're filling out the survey, they're given the ballot language that we believe will be close to what the ballot language is that is put on the ballot without any information. That's their first question. Here's what is we're going to put on the ballot. Read it, hear it. How would you vote? So without any information. In this survey, we did what's called a split sample. A split sample is half the voters get the question one way, half the voters get the question the other way, and then we compare how they do. So the first one, we asked this question, and the only difference is the beginning of the ballot language. We asked, with funds that cannot be taken by the state or federal government and must stay in our district. The other half of the voters, the words federal government are left out. So one's just the state and the federal government. In this case, again, we have, without any information, we look at the people that say yes, and we also add in the people that lean yes. How that works is the person says, well, I don't really know. And then you say, well, is that you don't know your yes or you don't know you're leaning no? And then they say it sometimes, and then you get a lean yes. That would be 64% when you combine those two. Remember, parcel tax takes 2/3. When we ask the question and we leave out the federal government, we just say funds that cannot be taken by the state and must stay in our district, that goes up to 67%. Not a huge jump, but it's curious that there's a change at all. And I think it's just that's just a lot of words, and we'll talk more about that when we get to it. We then began to give the voters, and these are randomized, by the way, but begin to give the voters a number of questions about different projects, different uses of the funds for a parcel tax. And in this case, then we take that information and we sort it so you can see it high to low. It's not given in this order. But the number one project we asked, we're just talking about projects, is if you knew that the funds would be used to expand classes and programs for career readiness and college preparedness. And a form of that was in the ballot language that we asked voters to begin with. That gets a little bit over 2/3. To hire and retain highly qualified teachers, counselors, and staff, that gets a little bit over 2/3. That was also in the ballot language. And pretty much everything else kind of gets you there. It doesn't work great. Pretty much everything. If we can go to the next page, however, there was one more that was in the ballot language that I want you to think about and remember, and that is the second one down on this page, protect quality academic programs, which barely breaks 2/3 when we add in the no difference, I'm a yes voter. Remember that because we'll come back to that number. It doesn't really, it has to get over 67% to really make it make sense. So the projects themselves don't really move people. And I didn't mention, and I should have at the beginning, that what we're testing here is when we put that ballot language in front of them, it's an increase in the tax rate, even though it's going to replace it. And as I was preparing for this meeting, I went back and looked at, in San Mateo County, how many measures in the last 10 or 15 years, how many partial tax measures in the last 10 or 15 years that have been these kind of replacements, not new ones, but replacements. How many of those have won that were on a November ballot, a presidential, gubernatorial? And the answer is all of them. So, I mean, the numbers are great. In the aggregate, there's always a chance, of course, one of them won't work, but I just wanted to point that out. So now we look at taxpayer protections. Again, a set of questions. This was the first one we asked. We mentioned already, the funds cannot be taken by the state and spent elsewhere. This, you can see the difference in that blue. I mean, this has over 75% of the voters saying, yes, I'm for this. And this is consistent, by the way, across the state. It doesn't matter what the demographics are of the district, be it old, young, blue, red, large, small, rural, urban. Every voter supports this language at the 75 to 80% range. Funds cannot be taken by the state or federal government. It's essentially the same. And I'll get into some of the nuances in a minute, but it's essentially the same. Remember I said about that previous remark, it only barely got to 2/3, but look down at the bottom of this page. Funds would stay in the district and support school projects. Even that gets way over 2/3 compared to trying to be the specific project. So I think the answer here is you start thinking about how do you communicate with the voters, it's about the big picture stuff that's happening in the district and not the specific use of the funds that moves them. We asked the question, sorry, I'm on the wrong slide. We asked the question, if you knew this fund would replace the parcel tax approved in 2018, it doesn't really move. It's not a new tax, will replace the parcel tax in 2018, doesn't really move people. I think they're either for it or they're not, is what we're seeing. And this kind of information doesn't seem to get there. We also asked them questions about the different amounts. The current parcel tax is at $58 per $100,000. So this would be a replacement and an increase in that parcel tax. We asked them $65. We asked them how they feel about $98. These are asked and they're they're not in this order. They're randomly selected. So some person gets 98 first person, some person gets 120 first. You can see the real story here is when you get over 100, it falls pretty quickly. Whether it's 65 or 98, I don't think it makes a huge difference, frankly. But when you start getting over that $100, that just tanked. Didn't even get close. So once they get through all of these questions, we then come back and have them read or have them hear the ballot language again. So in this page, you see, in this case, this is the federal and the state government question. Remember, we split them. In this question, we see the before information, which was 64. Now, after information, this goes up to 78%. Again, this is with the state and the federal language in it. For those voters that received only the state language in it, it started out stronger at 67%, but it didn't increase as much. Again, I have some theories about this I'll give you at the end. But still, those are great movements. Going up to 73% is a great place. So one more set of slides. Not all voters are the same, I guess, obviously. Some are very reliable voters, some are reliable voters, and some are very unreliable voters. And we quantified that. The very reliable voters, that's a voter that votes in every election. The reliable voter is 3 out of 4, 2 out of 3, however you put it. And then the unreliable voter is really a presidential election. They're 1 out of 4, 1 out of 3. This is that question, that last question that we asked about the ballot language. And this is how these different groups of voters vote. So if we look, again, this is the state and federal, the very reliable voters, they just come out at 2/3 if you add the yes and the lean yes together. They're just at 2/3, which is good because that's the one you need. The reliable voter, very good, 85%. The unreliable, yeah, they love this. They love that. They just the federal stuff, boom, they're all for it. Now they're all for the projects in general, but they don't vote that often. That's the problem. We looked at that with the other alternative where we just added the state in, and look at the difference in the unreliable voter. Huge. So I'm going to go back and look at that. So we're at 87% yes, where the state and federal mentioned, and that drops down to 61% with the unreliable voter. I think that's just a person that hears sound bits and reacts to it, frankly. So as you begin to consider this, my recommendation would be, put the federal language in there. It doesn't move the reliable voter. It doesn't move the very reliable voter, but it moves that unreliable voter, and you're going to get some of them show up, and you need them. I am going to pause there for any questions you might have, and then I'll just go over the timetable.
I have a question. So briefly, you mentioned that being more brief about the language used in the ballot would get more voters to lean yes. And I'm just questioning, if these are taxpayers voting, shouldn't they get to know more specifically where this would go to in terms of school projects or curriculum?
Yes, they should. The state law limits, so there's two parts of the ballot. The first part is what we think of as the ballot, which are those words what everybody has on their ballot, and they're limited to 75 words. Of those 75 words, about half of them are mandated by the state of what pieces of information have to be put in there, like what's the cost, is there oversight, how is it, what are the years that's going to be put into place, et cetera, et cetera. So you don't have a lot of choice in those remaining 40 words. And what we're looking for here are words that communicate to the voters what the projects that are going to have, that they can then say, oh, if I knew that, then I would be for it. Or if I know that, I'd be against it. And that's why we do these polls. In the ballot, the sample ballot that a voter is mailed, there is a much longer list of projects, which is the resolution. So for the voter that really wants to know that, yes, they go to that ballot and they can read all of that information and figure that out. But we're so limited by the number of words that we can put on those 75 that we have to be very careful of which ones we choose. And we try to use a combination of projects and larger issues combined to get the voters to understand both pieces.
Yeah, thank you. I was just wondering because I'm not very knowledgeable in this subject.
You're not alone.
Good question.
What else? I'm wondering if you can explain to me a little bit slowly the difference between the state-only language and the federal language.
The difference on the voters or the difference in the actual language
The
itself?
difference in the languages.
Okay. Right around the beginning of COVID, we do a lot of survey research across the state. And we began to throw in a question into the surveys. And we'd always ask this question: if you knew that these funds could not go to the state and would have to be used locally. And we saw that answer, that yes, I would be more likely to vote for this if I knew that. We saw that around COVID begin to rise. And it was never a big deal, frankly. I mean, it was a good question, a good answer, but not a great answer. And then suddenly it was in the 80% statewide. And we said, no, this really marks a difference in the way people are seeing the state and the state's impact on education. And that didn't matter what, as I said earlier, the type of district that we were, it didn't matter whether it was a strongly Republican district or a strongly Democratic district. It was really universal. For this survey, I wanted to test, well, what if we put that you couldn't take away state funding or federal funding, or the state couldn't take away this funding, or the feds couldn't take away this funding? Would that resonate with a more democratic district such as yours? We haven't tested it in many other districts, so I can't tell you what that difference is. But my instinct is that is more of a wording that would work well in a stronger democratic district, just because of what's happened with the federal government and local school districts across the country. So it is really just a way. Now, let me just say one more thing. For reasons I still don't exactly understand, I'm a member of the San Diego County Taxpayers Association, even though I live in San Francisco. I don't quite understand how that happened, but I go to all their meetings and they use me as a sounding board. And one thing we do in San Diego is we conduct classes for citizens and board members and whatnot. And this issue came up, where when we use this language, the head of the Taxpayers Association said to me, well, you're just trying to manipulate people. And I said, no, we're trying to educate people. We're not trying to manipulate them. So when you tell a voter, these funds that you are going to vote for, these tax dollars are going to stay in this district and be used in this district and cannot be taken by either the state or the federal government and used elsewhere. They say, oh, okay, well then I'm in favor of it. So that's the background of that language.
Thank you.
Quick question related to the very reliable and reliable voters. Demographically speaking, are they generally older voters in the very reliable category?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
I will say, it used to be they were typically Republicans because the Republican Party did a great job of doing vote by mail programs, ironically. And that's changed. That's changed. I think that that consistent voter is becoming more and more a Democrat.
Okay.
Still an older Democrat,
right.
but a Democrat.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So we're talking about replacing an existing parcel tax, right?
Correct.
So that existing parcel tax has some time remaining left on it?
Yes, it expires in fiscal year 27-28. So you could still, if this doesn't pass, you could still be on the ballot in 2028 and try it again.
Got it. And then if this does pass, how long does it last? How much more?
That would be up to you. That's purely a district-driven decision. You can have no ending date. I don't recommend that, but you could. I would probably use the same that you had in this last language, which was 10 years.
Right. So we got to put that in the language, but that language wasn't on the survey, though, right? Like how long it would have lasted.
I don't believe it was.
Yeah. Because I think that matters to the taxpayers, how long they think they're going to be paying on a parcel tax.
Yeah, I would think so too. Although I'll tell you, we've tested that a lot. I'm trying to see, well, does it make a difference if it's 3 years or does it make a difference if it's 7 years? And we haven't really come up with very good evidence that that's the case.
Okay.
But I agree with you instinctively, but I haven't seen that in the research.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, one more slide. And that is what you need to do. The county deadline for getting on the ballot in November of 26 is roughly the first week of August. Now, I don't recommend you wait that long, but we have a fair amount of time to put this together. And then you can take this action whenever you wish. It requires a simple majority of the board in order to put the item on the ballot, unlike a general obligation bond, which requires 2/3. I will work with your assistant superintendent for business in putting this on the district's agenda if that's the direction of the board.
I missed my chance a moment ago, so I wanted to just clarify that with all of the language, it all points towards the voters will vote for raising it. So there's no question. So I just wanted to make that clarification that, that's, I think, for me, the one that I was, curious about if there was the tolerance for that. And it seems that is the case. So
I agree with that, but I wouldn't cross that $100 line.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
That was the only thing that popped out at me.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Yeah, I think just kind of thinking about future terms, like I guess my only concern would be, given the current state of affairs here in our country and state, looking forward to that election. It's a long ways away. A lot of stuff has happened in a short amount of time since the new administration's taken office. And, I could see that kind of, if it gets any worse than it is, and it's kind of hard to imagine, that could obviously impact, voters' thinking at that time. But I guess can't really think about that too much right now.
Can I make one comment on that?
Sure.
These measures involve two different pieces of the puzzle. One is what you just talked about. How do the voters feel about it? The second is who votes. What is the voter turnout? And we can look at the last 20 years of data, and we know that the higher the turnout, the more probable a passage of a bond or a partial tax. Mm-hmm. So even though I agree with you that it may cause people a pocketbook issue, it'll also stir more people to vote if they're angry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I went back and just double checked what we passed in November 24, and that went past at 76.97%. And we didn't do any campaigning for that.
Right.
So I think there's a couple of things. One is that we know but the results you're showing us, as well as I know just in conversations with people in the community, people have a lot of trust in us, and we need to keep working to maintain that trust. And that's the biggest thing. I feel pretty good about being able to go to the $98 mark in November. And in the event that it doesn't pass, we do have some time. So it's not like we're up against a clock in terms of the parcel tax itself. So I would say let's go for it at 98 in November of 26.
I'm with that.
Can we have student trustee each press to ask a question?
Okay. Sorry. Adding on to your point that you just made, do you think that because of the political climate currently and the sentiment in this community, do you think that there'll be a greater voter turnout for this election? Do you figure you have any data on that? You think so? Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Thank you.
Let's do it. That's how I feel. We've done so many of these campaigns, and I have faith in Dale.
Thank you.
Thank you for putting this together.
Yeah, thank you for doing the hard work and getting this out there like that, giving us some good information to be able to do this.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dale. Always good to see you, Dale.
Parallel world. I could do this. although I don't.
Thank you.
All right. 16A1. Resolution regarding classified reduction in force. Director of Human Resources, Dana Lujan.
Good evening, everyone. The next three resolutions all relate to a similar theme that I'd like to address first, and then I'll get into the particulars with the resolutions. So each of these resolutions relates to a reduction in staff. Due to declining enrollment and decreased funding, we've identified two areas where we are overstaffed, and that would be in the area of cafe workers as well as at the adult education program. So when we identify these types of things, we start looking at how can we collapse programs. So what we've identified is that we would be collapsing programs that are under-enrolled. What we identified with the adult education program is that the satellite programs have very low student attendance. So the evening program at Jefferson as well as War Memorial have very few students attending. Our goal with any kind of changing in staff is to minimize the impact to students, but also be solid with our budget. These resolutions would allow for layoff notifications, but they do not guarantee that layoff notifications will be issued. I did want to be very clear about that. We're working very hard as a district team as well as in partnership with the union to identify how can we rejigger things so maybe we don't need to issue any layoff notifications. Okay, so with that context in mind, this first resolution is a reduction in force. This one's particular to classified staff, so we would be looking at reducing cafe workers by 4.8 FTE, as well as the evening receptionist by 0.56. And I welcome any questions you may have on this.
Any questions?
Move to approve the resolution 2526/5.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. The next resolution is a resolution to reduce certificated employees. So we have to separate out the two types of employees. So this would reduce adult education staff by 1.58 teaching at full-time equivalents, 0.64 TOSA or teacher on special assignment, and a 1.0 academic counseling. And I welcome any questions.
It's just the same type of movement we just did. It's not guaranteeing anything. Okay, thank you.
Move to approve resolution 2526/6.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And this final resolution it's particular to certificated staff, and it pertains to bumping criteria. So if two employees have the same hire date, we create criteria that allows us to skip some employees. Like, for instance, if someone holds a special education credential, the last thing we want to do is lose a special education credentialed candidate. So this creates the bumping criteria.
It still does not guarantee. Okay, thank you.
Move to approve resolution 2526/7.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Dana, thank you for that clarification ahead of time. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lujan.
Thank you.
Business services. Deputy Superintendent of Business Service, Ms. Van Rappers.
Thank you, President Walker. Tonight, I am recommending approval of the second amendment to our contract with Vance Brown for the construction of the new Jefferson High School gym and pool, as well as the theater addition. The original contract was approved in August of 2024, and there are no changes to the scope or expectations previously approved. The amendment simply authorizes us to move forward with the next phase of the project. And before you vote, Director Phillips will provide a project update. We also have representatives from Vance Brown, Mr. Tim Stitt, and from HKIT Architects, Mr. Sean Winchester. And they're here in case there are any questions.
We like
Take
no
it away.
changes.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, it's been some time,
I know.
but it's good to see you again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. These chairs are wonderful. Well, this has been a long time in the coming. I'm excited to show you some renderings that you may or may not have seen. But this first slide has the finished product. That is what what has been designed and is now in review at DSA. Just to give you a brief high level where we're at. Do you want to go ahead and turn the slide? Who's turning the slides? Oh, I am? Oh, that's why I asked. I called you today to say, hey, what are you doing? I thought it was you. Okay, push down. Thank you. All right. So we're going to go over design highlights, schedule updates, and cost updates. Boy, now I feel in control. This project is, like this building, going to be LEED accredited. We got gold on this building, and I think we're going for gold again, or we're going for tracking for silver. We're tracking for silver. Okay. Which is partly due because we are getting rid of gas, which is what the state is working toward in all residential and commercial buildings. Natural lighting helps us with that. We had some seismic issues, which is what prompted this project, and some accessibility or ADA, which is American Disabilities Act issues in that building as well, which is also prompted us to do this project. So all those things will be addressed. This is also going to enhance a few of the programs. One is we are going to do a 600 or 650 square foot addition to the theater so that they will now have a backstage area, which they haven't had. And anybody that's attended Mission Fusion in February knows how not fun it is for those students to be changing out under easy ups. The pool will be able to host competition events, which they haven't been able to do. And then obviously we're going to have spaces that are built for the programs that are in there. So like the dance room is actually going to be built to be a dance room. And the weight room and the, wrong way. And it's gymnasium. This is the rendering of the new gymnasium. It'll seat 1,100 plus people. It's going to be striped for 2 regulation basketball courts, some volleyball courts, and badminton courts. This will include boys and girls locker rooms, all gender showers and changing rooms, team room, weight room, cardio room, dance room, and 1 classroom. The pool. Pool's going to have lanes, 9 competition lanes, seating for 144 spectators. The amenities are going to include boys and girls changing rooms, all gender changing room with showers, some exterior showers, an accessible pool lift, premium sound and lighting systems, a modern high efficiency boiler with pool covers for also energy efficiency. Theater. Does this point to? Is that what the red thing is? Uh-oh. Here we go. Let me add it. All right. Why does this not work very well, though? There. What's that? Yeah, it's not showing up on the screen. All right. I'm going to walk over here so you can see. That is the new addition. And that's going to be on the corner of the existing theater. With that, because there was a staircase that wrapped around right there, we have to do some rerouting. And so there'll be new, like basically a new corridor that goes through by Mr. Harrigan's office and back to where the admin is. But in between there, there's going to be a ramp that will take you basically around the backside of the theater. Currently, it's if you're in a chair, you are stuck up top, and this will allow for chairs to be down at the front. Yeah. There'll be, let's see, there'll be a stage door that'll be off that back space. They are going to have dressing and dressing rooms and makeup stations. There's going to be a restroom in there, so they don't have to go outside and go around. And I just think I think it'll be a nice addition to the space, because the space is, it gets used. And, you know, and unfortunately, we don't have the room right now to build another theater, nor the funds. So I think this will be a nice enhancement. Completion. As of right now, we ended up building or breaking the permit into two permits. One was the demo and the abatement, and the other was build back of the building. The demo and abatement have been done for probably about a month-ish. Yeah. And we're waiting on DSA to approve phase 2. It's my understanding that they are giving us the round of comments back around the 16th of this month. We anticipate responding back to them quickly, 2 weeks, and then hopefully having final approval. What we're shooting for right now is March, the first week of March. And so based on that, it's not on this page. There we go. Construction completion is 10/8/27. Where was it? I thought there was another date in here, but so, yeah, I was looking for, right, the 7/9/27. So let's see, completion. So the punch list and inspections and testing could, you know, keep us out until after school starts, and most likely will. So I just want everybody to be hearing that now. You know, if we can improve the schedule, we will do our best, but I just want us to anticipate that it's gonna be happening after school, unfortunately. And, all right, so in front of you is a amendment to their contract, to Vance Brown's contract. Previously approved for phase 1 was $32,775,903. This next amendment is to build back the building, and that is for $40,244,97. So total project $73 million. Questions?
Can you tell me how you're going to phase in the theater building? I mean, you're at some point you got to start the construction on that. I mean, I know we're waiting for the approval for DSA checks. Is the DSA checks for that building as well, or is it just for the?
Yeah, it's for that too.
Okay.
We are going to start the day that school ends during summer. I, come on up here. I actually called Tim last week, and we were going over like how we were going to get the work done over summer, and if we can get it all done over summer. It's a lot of work to get done over summer. I mean, summer's, what is it, 7 weeks?
Yeah, 70. So it's, roughly $3 million worth of work. And it's a lot of site work, a lot of interior work. We're putting in a restroom. There's an awning that goes around the outside. So the plan is to get all the, I'll call it dirty work done over the summer and the 7 to 8 weeks that we have. And get the building as much enclosed as we can. So then the workers are all inside and it's not making a lot of noise, not making a lot of disruption, but there will be work. Right now I've got it going up until January. So it's not going to happen just in that 8 weeks. It's more of a 6 to 7 month process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Just comments. One, the design is phenomenal. I think we're pretty excited about what we're going to see on that campus after what we've been living with for many years. Just really excited about the work that we're about to do, and so thank you so much, Ms. Phillips, for the work that you're doing, and to the team. Great work.
Appreciate everybody here. I mean, it's been a great team.
Yeah, and for keeping that site as clean as you guys have for the demo and all that stuff, that's pretty impressive because that was a lot of work. I mean, I was there a few times just watching that get down, and you guys did a really good job with that. So
It was a strong building.
yeah, I bet it was. They don't make them like that anymore.
Make one like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else?
So we need to take some action. But so we had a total cost 73 million. Is that commensurate with what we estimated before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's within what we budgeted. And some of the items have been, I mean, there's a contingency in there, but there's also some allowances for things that we just couldn't finalize right now because we're still waiting on approval. But I think we were really safe in creating that so that we could not have to come back to you over the 73.
It's a good market right now to be bidding stuff out. People are hungry for the work, and they're anxious to get going on a big project like this.
Fantastic.
Fortunate for us. Any more questions? Or shall we take action on contract amendment number 2?
Move to approve in contract amendment number 2.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Good.
Thanks for,
Appreciate
thanks
it.
for staying so late.
Yeah,
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Hope you're considering Terra Nova for your children. I don't know what number on 16. We had a presentation about Terra Nova.
Move to impeach.
Good to see you, John.
Second. 16B2. Deputy Superintendent of Business Services, Ms. Van Raphorst.
Thank you, President Walker. In June 2022, the board approved a contract with Landmark Construction to build our new adult education building and district offices. That project is now complete and all payments to the contractor have been made. Resolution 2025-2026/4, if approved, will formally close out this project and authorize district staff to complete all remaining steps in the closeout process.
Move to approve resolution 2526/4.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Woo.
16B3, financial audit report. Ms. Van Raphorst.
Thank you. For this item, the board is asked to formally accept the audit report for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. Historically, we have sometimes had a representative from the audit firm here to provide a presentation, but since this year's audit was very straightforward and our regular representative was unavailable tonight, I will go ahead and provide the highlights to you. As you can see from the attached audit report and the accompanying documents, the district's auditor issued an unmodified opinion confirming that the 24-25 financial statements are presented fairly and in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. The audit identified no instances of fraud, no significant deficiencies, no uncorrected misstatements, no significant unusual transactions. It also confirms no disagreement with management, no difficulties during the audit, and the independence of the audit firm. So overall, the audit reflects sound financial practices and strong compliance with accounting standards. There was one non-financial compliance item that was noted as a finding. In August of 2024, the notice of public hearing for sufficiency of instructional materials was posted 7 days prior to the hearing rather than the required 10 days prior to the hearing. So this finding doesn't carry any penalty as long as we correct it by adhering to the statutory posting timelines in the future. With that, I will take any questions or entertain a motion to accept the audit report.
I just want to say kudos real quick to all the audit, all the people that were in charge of putting that audit together. And
Thank
I
you
know
so
that,
much. You know, I forget to do that. And
I know how hard that is. I mean, just seeing people do that before, that is, and they ask for a lot of stuff.
And it's not just the business office staff. It's, you know, the ed services staff, the HR staff, and the staff at the school sites for attendance and for their ASB programs.
Yeah.
So a lot of people all doing good work. Thank you.
Yeah,
for
and this
acknowledging that.
is like getting an A on that. So I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of it myself. So I know exactly how much work goes into it. So yes, thank you very much, Ms. Van Raphorst, to you and the team.
Okay. Unless there's any other questions,
What?
Oh, my bad.
That was going really well.
Old
I'm over here
habits die
taking
hard.
notes.
Okay.
So let's entertain a motion to act on this resolution.
Move to approve the audit.
That was going to be my motion. Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Item 17, are there any future agenda items?
One more. 16B4.
What? There's more?
Jerome, can you handle this?
Nope. I give up.
It's going to be about as funny as the Brady joke soon. Ms. Van Raphorst, can you help us out?
Yes. For my final item this evening, I am recommending approval of Resolution 2025-2026/3, which designates the district's authorized signatories. There is no change in this list from last year.
Move to,
Okay.
you want to do it?
Sure. Move to approve Resolution 2025-26/3 for authorized signatures of the governing board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any future agenda items? 18 adjournment. Shall we take action?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. 9:18.
Thank you.